Greetings, everyone. Exactly a month ago today, I flew in my friend Duane from Seattle, Washington to help me with a reset of my reef, and I promised you guys a video. This one's a long one, but I hope you'll enjoy it, and if you don't have time now, mark this to watch later, and then watch it while you're eating dinner. Duane, thanks for coming out from Seattle. The weather's a little warmer here, but we got AC, so we're all good for that. And we are going to rip into this tank and bring everything down smaller, because the problem is that everything has grown so tall that it's up to the surface and it's creating huge shadows, and there's a lot of death underneath. The only lights that are on right now are the LED XHOs from Reef Bright, and the metal halides haven't even started up yet. It's that early in the day for me. But right here, this bird's nest has a little bit of life, but there's a ton of death in there. And clearing all this clutter out is going to open up more flow in the tank, create more swimming room for the fish, and it's going to create more areas to plant new corals.
Exactly, yeah. We've been talking about this, for a couple months.
Yeah.
I came down Thursday, we were looking at it. His staghorn is 16 inches tall, but only has, 3 inches of life up on the top.
At the top.
And if you look at this from top down, this is 2 corals takes up 3 feet of his tank. So the idea is to tear it out, clean it out, and hopefully plant 15 or 20 different kinds of SPS back into here and get some variety back into his tank too. So
one of the things that Duane had pointed out, we spent some time yesterday on the walkboard just looking down at the reef, trying to decide how to handle it. And he was saying this little section of the acro would be a great new mini colony of the giant, enormous beast that it is. And he said this little piece of Monty would be a great start. So he already knew what he wanted. That's why I brought him out, because I don't like touching it. You know me, I don't frag stuff, I don't cut it, I don't sell it, I just let it turn into this. And so I needed his input, because he is the king of ripping a reef down to nothing and then turning into something gorgeous again and again and again.
I compare it to, my tank I compare to an African cichlid tank. I had African cichlids for years.
Is this freshwater?
Once a year.
Stop talking. No one cares.
I re-aquascape my reef. I replant my corals and try to showcase some of the ones that weren't growing so well. I plant them into a new location. I know they're going to do well.
Right.
And every year I get a new aquascape. And also, they grow so big like this that I like my large fish to have swim room in my small 210. So that's one of my variables why I tear my tank back down. So.
Yeah. It's really aggressive, and I always think he's crazy, and it always looks great when he's done. I'm like, well, he was right, and I'm completely wrong like usual. So that's it. That's what you're going to be watching. There's going to be some time lapse, and there's going to be some live streaming, and there's just going to be some follow-up video, or maybe some intermission. We'll see. Some people have already arrived that are going to be here to just kind of watch, see what's happening, eat some food, drink some drinks, and it's just going to be a fun day, and probably a little exhausting. Of course, the hardest part about doing something like this is to be willing to let anyone touch your reef. And in a way, I had to stop everyone, stop Duane, from reaching into my tank and pulling things out. I needed a few more minutes with my reef the way it was. Although 6 months ago, it was doing so much better than now. I had already hit the tipping point. Some of the corals are dying off near the surface for one reason or another. Probably exposure to air, possibly, look at that giant chalice right there. A lot of it had died. It was just too much. It was a mess. It was like a really bad garden. And I had to give up. I had to let it go. I had to clean it out. However, the growth itself was very impressive, and to see something that had filled my tank that was basically 3 or 4 feet long, it's just really hard to turn your back on that and cut it all up. What actually transpired is that I invited everyone in the local area to attend, and it was free. It was a viewing party, and people were going to get a chance to not only show up, eat, drink, and take home some of these frags, but they also got involved. They got their hands wet. They wanted to help. Not only were they there with their phones videoing what was happening or taking pictures, but they were willing to run to the kitchen or get this or that, or just, give words of encouragement, because it's kind of hard to rip a reef apart. I mean, I don't know if you've done it before, but usually the only time we do what I was doing is when the tank is leaking and you have to take everything out to save it. And here I am with a perfectly good tank, reaching in and pulling out giant colonies to make them smaller. It sounds counterintuitive, but it was the right thing to do. And yet, of course, I knew going in I was not going to be happy with this. I knew it was going to be different, and I really don't like change. I'm going to admit it right now. It's hard for me to accept change. I like to watch things grow in and get larger and take over. But at the same time, it was like a really messy reef garden, and that's why I brought in Duane. I know, enough stalling. Let's just get right into it, and I'll give you some time lapse of what happened. So if you look closely in this next clip, you'll see the water level is dropping. We drained some water into a giant cooler to move the corals into. And then we started to remove this big coral. Stop! We need to see this in real time.
My nose is 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. Oh, you got all these Apex Fusion notifications.
Oh, do I?
That happens. All of this is mine.
Here. That's a good picture, actually.
Yeah, so I'm going to get one picture before it's all shattered.
Hold that pose, will you, Mark?
Smile.
I'm trying to get it.
Hey, Duane.
Ah!
Whoa.
Here it goes.
Oh
He
my
cut
God.
it free. We
Oh
haven't
my
just held
God.
it all up.
Really?
He did it and the whole thing tilted forward.
Wow, yeah, that scared
Do you
me.
need help?
You will.
Don't know.
That's a
My
massive.
God, yeah, that's not
Watch
my
this.
intention.
Look at this.
I did
This
not
is good
want to see
YouTube
that.
stuff right
So
here.
what I
My mate,
Look
I
at
need
this.
you to move back. I need you to move back so you
I am literally holding the entire colony.
Okay,
My
so
mate,
that's
I need you
fine.
to
Pull it up,
move
pull it
back.
up.
Sit there.
Rock
Okay.
down here.
Sit there.
It's
Sit there.
attached.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sit there.
So
In
we
case they
can't
need
pull
help,
this
we're
thing
gonna need a
out
whole
if you
bunch of
want to
hands.
There's
try.
not enough vertical height because of the
If we
lighting.
move the lights back, we can definitely, although we're just spilling water everywhere.
Exactly.
All right, well, let me go back to the original plan.
Watch your head.
Oh my God.
This guy.
What have I done?
You broke it.
I cut one
Watch your
little
head,
tiny
Duane.
piece of Blue Ridge.
The
Mark,
Blue
what do you
Ridge.
need-
One
What do you,
tiny piece of Blue Ridge. That's what I
what do
wanted.
you need me to do, Mark?
This
I
one needs to go in the
don't know,
cooler.
honestly.
This is a saver.
Come around.
And then let's
Just start
see.
handing.
Getting
That's all I
darker.
got. That's all I got.
You guys got two hands behind you, so when you just start.
That's the
pulling
one I was wanting.
it, put
Right
it in
there.
the cooler.
This is crazy.
All right.
Well, here's a piece you can put in the cooler.
Here's a piece.
Okay.
Cooler
I got
frag
you
there.
covered.
Right on. All right. So now how do we want to go about this?
You
We
do
want to just
know.
keep breaking this down, or
Oh, there goes your Monty.
There goes the
Alright.
Monty.
That's a horrible sound of a.
that's perfect. All right. So what I
Hate
want
that
to do
sound.
right now is hold
More
on.
Monty.
That's
Hold
that's
on,
a.
Mark.
I can transport this all in one piece. It never works.
Yeah, I knew
Unless,
it.
unless you're Rick
That's it.
Beauregard.
All
Because
right.
he's the only one that I've ever seen grow
You
monopore
wanna keep the metal
as
halides
thick
on, Mark?
as.
They're fine.
Aquapora.
Yeah, because we're gonna put them back over the tank here in a little bit.
I got you.
All right. So let me see. That's all right. That's all right. Here we go.
Oh, that piece
I
just
got a
failed.
big coral. Look, I got a big
God, look
coral.
at this thing.
Dude, this thing is
This
awesome.
thing is huge.
I love it.
Maybe that should be the piece that you keep.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody can.
I
That's
got
kind of awkward back in here.
I got it.
All right.
It's never gonna fit in
All
the cooler.
right.
It's
No,
too
that's
big.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's
Should
definitely
have brought that Rubbermaid
That's
container.
That's okay.
Would have fit in there.
What are we doing with this?
We're gonna just set it on the floor, I think, for now.
I think we get close. We can set it on top of the cooler water. At least it'll have
When I
something.
take my hand away, you're not gonna have any support. Make sure your hand is. Yeah, there you go.
I gotta put my hand
That
here.
is a serious coral.
Oh my God! Yeah, I want to.
Do we want to just set it over the cooler?
We need to get a picture
I don't know
of
if it'll
Mark
fit.
standing beside that.
But we can set it on
This
top.
I
on
got
top
you.
There's
so
pictures of us holding
Yeah,
it.
but this
so-
whole backside's not gonna
fit. You might be able to
Oh,
stand
hey,
it.
hey, hey! It's crumbling right up underneath me.
Yeah.
on the floor.
I
Yeah, let's put it on
yeah,
the floor
on
here
the
for
floor
just
should
a
be
moment.
fine.
It'll be alright.
Let's put this poor snail in here.
Oh, the poor snail. Yes, that's our big
Let's
concern.
save the
Yeah, you
snail.
should have just seen the.
It'll probably do better outside the reef than in your water.
That whole
Yeah. Like pretend water.
Yes.
It's-
That's it, man.
it's-
Okay, hopefully it
it's
won't
like-
die.
It's like, oh no
Is there room on
nitrates.
my reef now? Can Spock swim?
Not yet. So that's phase one. So let's
Wow.
get that in
Phase
there.
one.
I think if you come
Look,
here,
Ryan,
and
there's still
trim
a
this down,
ginormous
set
piece
this
right
back
here.
where it was.
I know.
He's got
That's the
room for
amazing
growth.
thing.
No,
Check it out.
I brought 20 different pieces.
Who wants
now.
another giant
Oh,
piece of
okay.
Monty?
So what I want
I'll take that, Frank.
You got a bag?
Yeah, that's. If I like that stuff, that goes perfect in my tank.
Yeah. You have a tank that could hold something this big.
I know. You know, if that's the other thing too. If you the system big cube, be awesome. Set in the middle. Just do that.
Yeah. You know what? Also, making these giant changes, I gotta keep track of my water parameters even more now because I'm not gonna be drawing as much power.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not gonna be pulling as much alpha and calcium.
Yeah, for sure.
Surgically remove death out from underneath it until I can actually see what I want to keep, and then I can get in there
I don't see
and
the depth.
section it. This is not dead, but it's definitely not healthy purple.
It's the belly of the beast.
Yeah, it's a tough beast.
I growed it myself.
Yeah. All right. So there's some frags.
Oh my god, he's killing my coral again.
More frags. Like I said, 40% is a beautiful mini colony.
Yeah, that's true.
There's 20 frags left, and the rest is garbage.
You're
I
a
don't know who
monster.
agreed to this trip. This is a terrible decision I made.
Your tank will be so healthier though, Mark.
I hope so.
It all happened so fast.
He just
Look at
started
that.
pulling things.
Look at that, it won't even cut this poor thing.
It'll cut it.
Oh no, man. So what happens when you're doing that in a bandsaw, whether it's a piece of wood or a large coral, if you get in the middle
Yeah.
and get distracted and you change your blade,
It could
you
bind.
will break that blade.
Break that blade.
So I don't want to do that. I'd rather just take the next half hour and
I
wrestle
don't
this
have that much
thing.
room on my phone to film that next half hour.
These have some of the densest skeletons of any SPS that I've worked with.
The way he's cutting it, I feel like he has Parkinson's.
Oh, there we go.
Do it again, do it again, do the Parkinson's.
That's so funny.
Now you're just making fun of me.
Uh-huh. He was sticking his tongue out like
Was
he
I?
couldn't control it. It was great.
Oh my god. I'm not looking at your camera anymore. Alright.
I killed it!
Woohoo!
Any cheers? While Duane was chopping up my corals into bite-sized pieces for everyone and saving a few choice pieces for the reef, I kept cleaning out the clutter. There was a whole bunch of clutter. I pulled out 3 buckets of coral skeleton, 5-gallon buckets. They took them outside and dumped them on the concrete, one after another. And I kept clearing out space and getting down to the actual rock work, which, as you can see here, there's actually quite a bit that was hidden by all these massive coral colonies. You may notice that rocks are going away and coming back. That's because Ryan was taking them outside and drilling holes for future corals that I'd plant in my reef to make it a little easier to get those frags in place. This project took about 6 to 8 hours to accomplish, and we had to restart the return pump a few times to get oxygenation levels back up. Here's the coral that Duane saved to start anew. I do want to thank all the people that were involved that day. There was about 30 people that showed up, and they all left with corals, which I was happy to do, actually. It was a nice way to make sure they all went to homes immediately, rather than having to worry about them dying off over time waiting for people to show up to get them. Once we were done cleaning out the reef, it was time to plant corals back in, using putty and glue. And this took a while, of course, while people got their frags. Here is all the carnage we took out. Let's take a closer look. I'm going to actually use this in my calcium reactor for future calcium needs. I rinsed out all the decaying stuff and got all the algae and everything off the coral skeletons, and I've left it in the sun to dry out. So this is a piece of a coral. The original frag plug is right there. This was some scrolling pavona. This is a giant piece of the shadow caster. And as you can see, there was some green in it, which usually means it's a green boring algae that's actually in the skeleton of the coral. But if you look at how dense it became, how individual branches grew into solid pieces from, you know, a stick and a stick and a stick, and it just filled in and became a solid block. It's kind of amazing. But of course, no water could pass through that. No flow could pass through it. It just had to go around it. That's just one arm of the giant coral that was in my tank. Another piece of it. Yeah, right here. So this one here has a stick right here sticking up. That actually was a blue tort that was standing up inside this montipora that grew around it, and the Monty completely encased it. You can't even tell from below that it was an acro at one time. So there's that spot right there. But it went right through. There's another one right here in that spot, right there. And then this one here, completely gone. And here is the final look of the tank that night when we finished. And it was funny because I was still running the 10K mode lighting, and Duane was just begging me to switch it to blue lighting because my rock was too white because it had been in the shadow of those giant colonies for so long and just didn't get any lighting at all. The hardest part of getting used to my tank was the new look. Yeah, there was a ton of swimming space. There was an opportunity to put in a bunch of new frags, but all my big guys were gone. I could actually see the back of the fish room that I hadn't seen in years. And, well, you know, it's just completely different. So I ripped off the Band-Aid and I started posting pictures of my reef with its new look. And the reactions on Instagram were basically, where are all your huge colonies? What happened to your reef? And I told you guys I was going to release a video. So the rest of this video is basically going to be eye candy from all different angles. I get a lot of requests on YouTube asking me to just film the tank and let you enjoy it and don't even talk. I think you guys don't even want to hear me at this point. You just want an awesome reef and you want music. So let me see what I can do about that now. And it's totally okay if you don't like the new look. I'm hoping it will grow on you like it's going to grow on me. Okay, I do have to tell you, this is what's left of the Shadowcaster, and there's literally twice as much there as Duane wanted to put back in the tank. I just refused to give it all up. I had to have a decent chunk of this coral. It's one of my favorites, and it is really coloring up nicely. happy to report that the entire change over the reef went successfully. There was no fish losses, there weren't corals dying, nothing crazy happened. I did a couple of really big water changes, and everything has just been coloring up really nicely. My reef is coming up on its 4-year anniversary in November, and this is October. So basically, it's going to look a little backwards going from where it was to where it is right now, but I think 2018 it's going to look even better. If you got to this point in the video, thank you for watching the entire thing. If you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Click like. Feel free to share this video on social media. Just click the share button, find the URL, and paste it on your page. And stay tuned because there's more videos coming.